unselfish sacrifice. We're going to get them on the run. We're going to go, go, go. And we aren't going to stop until we go that goal line. We are Notre Dame.
Get on the bus. Next stop, Notre Dame Stadium.
From the house that Rockne built to the dynasty of Air Parsegian, this is the home of Fighting Irish football.
The place where greatness is earned 1 yard at a time. The field that forged Notre Dame legends like Theismann, Montana, and Brown.
The land of never quit, never surrender. The legacy, the passion, the tradition. That is Notre Dame football.
ABC57 Kickoff is back.
Bigger and better
Than ever. You're watching ABC 57 Kickoff, presented by Afdent Dental, live from the campus of Notre Dame, with your hosts, Allison Hayes and Vahid Sadrazadeh.
I think as you look back at last year as a whole, you say, man, they got momentum and they got rolling. I hope at the end of this season we'll look back and say the same thing, but in the moment, you just got to focus on constant improvement, right? And somebody said, wasn't that fun to win that game like that? Fun? I'm like, no, because every play you're stressed to win it. You're focused on staying in the moment. Let's win this play.
Welcome to ABC 57 Kickoff. I'm Allison Hayes.
And I'm Vahid Sadrazadeh. As you just heard, head coach Marcus Freeman. It's the bumpy road to better, but we land on the first game of a 3-game home stretch here at Notre Dame Stadium, and it's Irish wear green, and we've got our green on today. We'll be talking about that throughout the show, but it will be a sea of green. But I will say Boise State fans did make the trip out here.
And they have been representing in South Bend. We saw a big party that they held over at the Embassy Suites right there on Eddy Street Commons. So they came to play. They came to have some fun and enjoy themselves here in South Bend. Now, fans are fired up, whether you're Notre Dame or Boise, and it's going to be an unusually hot day here in South Bend. Of course, we just heard from head coach Marcus Freeman saying there's no time for fun, even after the 43-point blowout of Arkansas last week. The Irish are rolling, but Boise State brings another high-powered offense into Notre Dame Stadium today.
Well, Notre Dame defensive coordinator Chris Ash, he has been on the hot seat, as hot as it got going into Arkansas, starting the season 0-2, giving up 41 points at home to Texas A&M, and then getting embarrassed on some deep plays, some passing plays, long plays.
Trick plays.
To Purdue. But Marcus Freeman stressed the importance of staying together, not dividing, and placing blame on the Irish defense. Well, they rallied to hold Arkansas to just 13 points, created havoc with 3 sacks, a forced fumble, recovery, and an interception. Head coach Marcus Freeman says it's all about staying in the moment and staying together.
Bumpy road to better. You know what I mean? That bumpy road leads to better. As long as you work and attack it and own it. And that's – I haven't been in the fire with Coach Ash. All right? I know people that have. I've learned this week who he is when he's in the fire. And he's a competitor. And he's a leader. And he's not pointing fingers at – other people. He's saying, I have to get this fixed. It's just my responsibility. And we got a lot of people that are doing that. And so he's done a really good job of being crystal clear on his expectations.
I don't know. Arkansas on paper had the 5th best offense in the nation. They didn't look like it, though, when they went to Fayetteville. So I'm not 100% sold on the defense as of yet. We're going to see Boise State has some great running backs. USC has a high-powered offense. So I'm not sure he's off the hot seat as of yet. but it's a little cooler.
It was a step in the right direction. Arkansas kind of beat itself at times as well. They had some key dropped passes by some of their best players on the team, so that was unusual for them. So we'll see. But overall, it was about executing, and the Irish defense did execute. And, of course, the Irish defense may have stumbled out of the gates this season, but against Arkansas, we finally saw that spark. Under Chris Ash, this unit showed some signs of life, and now the question is, can they keep that rolling? ABC 57's Talia Baya breaks down the numbers and the playmakers fueling the turnaround. Talia?
Hey, Allison and Vahid. Yes, Notre Dame was a little inconsistency in those first few weeks, but they put up their sharpest performance yet, shutting out Arkansas after halftime. And they put up pretty good numbers. They had 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and an interception. And although the Irish finally showed signs of pressure, the real difference came in the secondary, where a few star players really shined.
Safety Adon Schuler led the team with 9 tackles, giving him 19 total on the season, along with 2 pass breakups and a forced fumble.
Just being calm, cool, and collected, not worrying about what everybody says, and, just doing it for the brotherhood and making sure the offense know we got their back and they got our back.
Right behind him was fellow safety Tay Johnson, adding 5 tackles and a pass deflection.
Just coming in every day, working hard, and just knowing I'm confident in my ability and I'm confident in who I am.
A name to watch moving forward is freshman cornerback Mark Zachary IV. He was targeted 4 times last week and allowed just 1 catch for 8 yards. He also had a key end zone breakup, holding opponents to an NFL passer rating of 39.6.
He's not a blamer. He doesn't point fingers. He wants to be coached. He wants to improve.
As in my process these past 4 weeks, just gradually getting better and just knowing that, trusting in Christian and Leonard to keep coaching me up in their positions.
This season, safety Jalen Stroman has been the top tackler so far with 19, while linebacker Boubacar Traore has made his presence felt with 2 sacks and 4 tackles for loss. However, the Irish defense is giving up around 390 yards per game and nearly 6 yards per play.
The bumpy road to better. You know what I mean? That bumpy road leads to better.
The run defense has also been leaky at times, and getting consistent pressure remains a challenge. The Irish have allowed too many big plays early in games, something they'll need to clean up under new defensive coordinator Chris Ash.
He's a competitor, and he's a leader, and he's not pointing fingers at other people. He's saying, I have to get this fixed. It's just my responsibility.
It's important to add that Boise State's defense has really struggled in the red zone, so that gives the Irish a little margin for error. But the real danger will be if the Irish keep giving up those explosive plays. They cannot let that happen, especially with Leonard Moore put up as probable. They really have to get the job done, whoever's on the field. That's what Adon Schuler told me the other day. But coming up next, I will be taking on the offense, breaking it down for you, and all that good stuff. But for now, reporting live from the campus of Notre Dame, I'm Talia Baya, ABC 57 News.
Well, thank you very much, Talia. Taking a look at what this defense has in front of it today, Boise State's offense, just some numbers for you. Coming in ranked 9th in the nation, averaging 520 yards of total offense. So once again, for the second straight week, playing a team that's averaging more than 500 yards of total offense and scoring 38.5 points, averaging 221 yards rushing, 299 through the air. So very, very balanced.
I think Notre Dame has not had their full slate of players this season, and that's also been part of the problem. Adon Schuler a little banged up. Christian Gray got banged up. Now you have Leonard Moore, banged up, may not play. Is he able to get some snaps in today, maybe 15, 20, get back on the field next week against NC State, be full strength against USC? But Allison, part of that defensive issue is, if you're going to make a run at the playoffs, you're going to have to not only score a bunch of points, which they are saying they're going to have to do, but the defense is also going to have to step up and slow people down.
It can't be 41-40 games each week. They've got to have blowouts, 56-13.
Up and down the field.
Right.
Just can't do that. Can't allow that.
Right.
Well, here's what is coming up here on ABC 57 Kickoff. You can see on your screen. We've got the cheerleaders in the house. That's right, the Gold Squad, and a historic season for one particular leprechaun.
That's right, and it is Diabetes Awareness Month, and one of the Notre Dame cheerleaders shares his experience living with diabetes, and we'll have a special performance.
And coming up next, we are going to have Father Nate Wills. Pray like a champion today. That's coming up next here on Kickoff.
Welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff. I'm meteorologist Dave Caulfield with your game day forecast. You know, early October, usually a time in South Bend where fall is in the air. The leaves might be changing or already have changed in some cases. And temperatures usually in that 50 to 60 degree range. It feels like fall. Well, that is not the case this time around. We could be talking about an all-time record for October warmth at Notre Dame Stadium. More on that throughout the show. But if you are out tailgating over the next few hours, temperatures already in the 70s in South Bend. They will quickly rise because of that dry air through the 80s, and eventually by the time we get closer to kickoff at around 3:30, those temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, close to a record high for the day. Usually we're not talking about upper 80-degree warmth in South Bend in early October, but that is what we are dealing with today. So everyone I've seen, a lot of shorts out there, a lot of great costumes, but make sure that you are staying hydrated throughout the day because you will need that water and hydration all the way through. We're starting off the game with temperatures well above normal and well above what they would be in Boise as well, in the 60s for kickoff in Boise. In South Bend, we're going to be pushing 90 in some locations. Live off of Eddy Street Commons, meteorologist Dave Caulfield for ABC 57 Kickoff.
All right, thanks, Dave. And when it comes to Notre Dame, there is no shortage of history or traditions. And for over 100 years, the Fighting Irish football team has had someone to turn to for life beyond the game. And when it comes to faith on the football field, they turn to their own team chaplain. And for the last 8 seasons, Father Nate Wills has served as a spiritual advisor to the Blue and Gold, praying with them and sharing in their triumphs. And now he's sharing those stories with the Notre Dame community in his new book, encouraging the Irish to pray like a champion today. And joining us now is the chaplain for the Notre Dame football team, Father Nate Wills, CSC. Thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be with you all. Thank you very much for having me.
That's fantastic. Father Nate, as we do with all of our guests in Notre Dame Legends, we do a little tale of the tape. And so we're gonna read off some stats, if you were.
All right, born in St. Paul, Minnesota, a PhD from University of Wisconsin-Madison, Master of Education and Divinity from Notre Dame. You've called Notre Dame home, South Bend home now for 10 years. You're a triple domer, which is awesome.
Yeah, and it took becoming a Holy Cross priest to get better football seats.
Oh, I love it. Hey, you do what you got to do, right? You also are faculty with ACE, the Alliance for Catholic Education, the founding director for Higher Powered Learning Initiative, and priest in residence at Keogh Hall. Certainly an accomplished resume, and so much more that you'd like to accomplish here. Notre Dame, very, very fortunate to have you. And we're fortunate to have you. That's a lot of build-up here, but we'll finally get to a question. Let's start with the sidelines and pregame. As the chaplain, back in 2022, you worked with head coach Marcus Freeman to bring back pregame mass. Just how did that conversation get started, and maybe what's the difference have you seen from the guys since you've implemented mass again?
Yeah, we've always had mass, but it was the day before the game. And so Coach Freeman wanted to bring this back. He actually experienced it when he was being recruited by Notre Dame and loved that idea of having the players walk from the Basilica over to the stadium. And so he asked can we do that? And Ron Paulus, one of our athletic folks, he said, absolutely we can. So they brought that back, and it's been really cool.
Why did they change it from game day to the day before?
Yeah, it's still a little unclear in my mind. What people have told me is that Coach Kelly really wanted to get the guys locked in and focused on, that kind of killer instinct and stuff. And I asked Coach Freeman this when we moved back to, game day mass. I said, do I need to, get them all fired up and stuff? And he's like, no. We have a long time before their feet hit the field. So, just do what you do. Talk about Jesus, talk about the gospel, get them fired up, and get them focused on what's eternal.
If anything, it probably brings a focus, a center for
That's
them.
Right. And to block out the noise, right? To really think about what's important in their lives, to focus in, and to just realize what's most important.
Well, we see it on the big screen before the game starts. You lead the team in prayer.
Yeah.
It's been a tradition that's gone on for years and years and years. Tell us about that moment. How sacred is that moment? What are instead of getting them fired up, what are you trying to accomplish with them in that moment, and what does that mean to you?
Yeah, it says a lot about Notre Dame that the last thing we do before we hit the field is to pray the Our Father together, the words that Jesus taught us. And I think it's just really important that we pray together. Everybody joins hands and we pray together the Our Father. And it's just a cool experience. I've actually seen videos of people have sent me from the stands of people praying along with the Our Father, which I just think is the ideal. I'm so excited that they do that, just to pray, 80,000 people praying together, lifting up their hearts to God. And before any of this happens, to say what's truly important, and that's our faith. That's our Lord. And I think it's been a great experience. Now, honestly, they do the little embolism at the end, for the kingdom, power, and glory. And I don't pray that because the whole time I'm thinking, what do I say next? What do I say next? At the beginning of the game, I'll say, Our Lady Queen of Victory. And then they all say, pray for us. Yeah, exactly. And then at the end of the game, I'll say, Notre Dame, our mother. And they'll say, pray for us. So we begin and end everything we do in prayer.
You may not be trying to get them fired up, but it certainly gets people fired up inside of the stadium.
Well, praise God. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, you accepted the role of chaplain in 2018.
Yeah.
What was that conversation like? From what we hear, it wasn't necessarily the football part of it that drew you in.
Yeah, so that's in the intro of my book. I talk about this because people ask me all the time, like, how'd you become the football chaplain? I'm like, well, I don't really know. But I got a phone call from my buddy, Father Pete McCormick, who's the director of campus ministry, amazing priest, chaplain to the basketball team. And
DJ too.
Yeah, and a DJ and
inside
a
the
DJ
stadium now too.
So he was so great. He said, feel free to say no, but wondered if you'd consider becoming the chaplain for the football team. And I'm like, look, I mean, it took me totally by surprise. And I said two things. I said, look, first of all, I'm honored, grateful. Second, I don't know that much about football, right? Like, we have guys in Holy Cross who know everything there is to know about football, and that's not me. And he said, he had a great line. He said, Nate, we pay a lot of people a lot of money to know everything there is to know about football. We don't need you to call plays. We just need you to point them to Jesus. So that's what I've been trying to do.
Well, you landed at Notre Dame, and you got interested in Notre Dame. We hear because of your older brother.
That's right, yeah.
That was a walk-on in the mid-'90s? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it was his dream to go to Notre Dame and then to play basketball for Notre Dame. And so he walked on his freshman year and then eventually ended up earning a scholarship his senior year, which is pretty amazing. And I went to so many basketball games, and it was just really awesome to cheer him on. And he's still one of my closest friends and heroes.
I bet he was fired up to hear that you had taken the position here,
He was very fired up. That's for sure.
That's so cool. Well, you also have a new book. We've been talking a little bit about it. It just released just prior to the start of the football season, and it's titled Pray Like a Champion Today. Could there be a better title for a book, by the way? Sacred Stories from the Sidelines of Notre Dame Football. Kind of tell us about the book, how this even came about, and just, why it was so important for you to be able to release this.
Yeah, so this has been a work in progress over the last, this is my 8th season with the team, and for my entire time, I've taken little notes on my phone when things that were really significant happened. I was like, I got to write that down, whether that was a conversation with someone or, a significant moment that happened. I really thought, I got to write this stuff down. And so I did, and then I ended up telling those stories to friends and family. And after a while, people kept saying, you should write these things down. And
you should write a book.
Right, exactly. And so I did, and God bless them. They did a beautiful job with it. They laid it out in a beautiful way, and put full color pictures.
Wow.
There's these little little QR codes and calls to prayer throughout. So it's been a very fun book. There's like little QR codes you can scan and see videos, and it's been really awesome just to see the ways in which God's moving through these great stories.
Well, certainly, I know this isn't probably your goal, but you've got to be the coolest priest here on campus.
I am definitely not.
You can see, though, why the players feel comfortable around you and they can talk with you. We feel comfortable with you right now. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story with us.
Absolutely.
Just tell me that Jesus has Notre Dame in the national championship game again this year. We're praying for that.
We'll definitely pray for that. We'll definitely
good.
pray.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you got it. God bless you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Go Irish.
Father Nate Wills, CSC chaplain with the Notre Dame football team. Guess who is in the building? It is the Gold Squad, Leprechaun McKenna. We'll be right back with the cheerleaders right after this break. Every Saturday this season as the Irish, you just watched it, come out of the tunnel onto the field to Here Come the Irish, you'll notice that the team is led out by Leprechaun McKenna, and we are so lucky to have her and the Gold Squad here with us today. Go Irish! You have made history this year, so thanks so much for being here with us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Well, to start us off, talking about the historic season, the Irish, for you, you're the first female lead Leprechaun. What does that honor mean to you?
It means so much because it's a great experience to be able to represent even a small part of the Notre Dame community. And I've gotten to do this role for 2 other years with Kylie Kaczynski, another female leprechaun. So it's been really special to have that experience with her and then to be able to share it with fans even more in Notre Dame Stadium.
You know, a question for you is, as a female, you didn't have a lot of those role models as a young child to look up to. Did you think when you were little, like, oh, that's something I could be someday? Or when did that dream come about?
Honestly, for me, it started out a little bit as a joke with my friends, which I think was part of the thing that really fueled me because I didn't have many questioning thoughts in my mind about, is this possible? But also, I got to meet Lynette, Sophie, and Kylie, all of them, throughout my experience trying out and then in this role. So that definitely helped having such a supportive community.
What was it like working with them and like Leprechaun Lynette and, you know, she being the first female? What kind of advice did they give you as you tried out for it?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day for all of us, it really comes down to a love of Notre Dame. And we all have that, and being able to share that with people, it doesn't really matter who you are because we all know how special this place is. So they really just encouraged me to show that spirit through everything I do.
Everybody has a Notre Dame story.
Yes.
So what is your Notre Dame story? How did you find your way here?
So I actually grew up going to the Notre Dame Stanford games every other year in my hometown of Palo Alto. And my parents both went to Notre Dame. I purposely then thought they were brainwashing me and was like, I don't want to go here. But then as I went through the college process and came to an admitted students day here, I met some people that are some of my best friends to this day. So it was really the people at the end of the day that got me here.
Being the leprechaun, I mean, it is a hard job. There is a lot that goes into that. And I think each leprechaun has had their own personality, their own style. How would you sort of describe your style as the Notre Dame leprechaun?
Yeah, it's really cool because since we don't have a mascot head, we get to be ourselves in the role. I would say I'm definitely a little bit more smiley. I've been given the name Happy Pants before. Got a little bit of a pep in my step, and that just really comes out naturally when I put on the suit. Sometimes I can't even help it.
50 years of women's varsity athletics here at Notre Dame. To be the lead leprechaun this year, what does this year mean to you specifically, and what does the 50 years Cheer Her Name mean to you?
Yeah, it's really hard to put into words what it means. I think we all know and have had all these experiences at Notre Dame over these 50 years, so it's really special to be able to represent that and share that with the whole world. Us here at Notre Dame, we know those stories and how special it is, but this is kind of a platform to be able to show that more to everyone else.
All right. Well, we're getting some fans fired up. Let's do that, right? Like, show us. Can you
show us
lead
a little,
the cheerleaders and you guys kind of show us what you can do?
So
we're
gonna give it a nice little "Let's Go Irish."
Okay. All right, easy enough.
So, yeah, we're gonna say, "Let's go Irish."
Let's go Irish.
Louder, louder.
Let's go Irish.
Let's go Irish. One more time. Let's go Irish.
That was awesome. All right, so I've got the green shoes on today, so I'm prepared to learn some of the moves.
Oh, okay.
There's been a request for a jig specifically because of these shoes here.
Honestly, I'm impressed. You got me beat with the shoes. I don't even have green shoes on. Okay, so the jig starts out
Oh, boy.
with our right foot behind.
Oh.
Yeah. We go behind, side, behind, side, twice.
Okay.
Now here comes the fancy part.
Okay.
You got to cross in front, go to the side, and then do 2 times to the back. Back, back.
That's the one that messes me up every time.
All right, should we all do it together the first time?
Yeah, let's
all right,
try
here
it.
we go.
Okay, so we go back, side, cross, cross, side. Now twice. Back, back. Look at them go.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Well,
you just do that on the other side then, so you're ready to go.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Go get them out there and give us a cheer going into break here.
Awesome. We're going to give you guys a little We Are ND. Here we go. We are ND. We are who? ND. We are louder. ND. We are ND. One more. We are ND.
You ready to go? I'm trying to go harder than I ever went. Neil, Ivy, and Micah Shrew.
Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate all your support. This is super exciting for us to have our first Irish Jam.
Greetings, Shrewsbury.
From Birchville, New Jersey.
I said 4 guys, so I gotta get him with my team.
Go! Moneyball, baby! Green Shrewsbury with 18!
Oh, welcome back to ABC 57. I am Allison Hayes.
I'm Vahid Sadrazadeh. You just saw the Irish Jam, which packed Eddy Street last night. What a great event. Of course, working with the city of South Bend, partnering with them, showing the love. Of course, a couple players from both teams from the South Bend area and debuting those new jerseys.
The Bend. Those are so fire. They're so cool. And the whole event was really cool. It just had a cool vibe to it. Shutting down Eddy Street like that. The way they had it set up with the rigs. I mean, that was a full production. Very, very cool.
Well, and to get introduced to some of those new players that came through the transfer portal, see Marcus Burton and all the other greats throughout the night last night. So
Hannah Hidalgo,
she
she nailed a half-court shot. The place went crazy.
Listen, if Brayden Shrewsbury is shooting like that during the season, they shouldn't lose a game.
Yeah,
so
let's go.
Let's go is right. But it was a great event, and, of course, the South Bend, repping the South Bend today as well.
That's right. Well, talking back to football, you know, this is a football show. For the second straight week, the Irish are playing a first-time opponent. It's also the first time Marcus Freeman and Boise State head coach Spencer Daniels have met on the gridiron.
Both Freeman and Daniels were defensive coordinators and linebacker coaches before being promoted to head coach positions. Both programs, playoff hopes on the line today. Freeman says his players and coaches can't be satisfied with last week's win.
Like, there's ways to get better all over the place. but it still comes from a need of each individual, right? If you don't feel like you need to get better, then you don't really obtain the wisdom that is out there for you. Me and you could be sitting in the same room listening to somebody teach us. But if our needs are different, I'm going to get something out of it differently than you. And so they have to understand, like, there's areas of improvement all over the place. We weren't perfect. We played really, really well. We weren't perfect. And so if they're honest with themselves and they feel like they have that need to improve, coach me, help me get better, that's the discomfort that will help them improve.
Well, he was quick to point out that, especially on offense, while they did play really, really well, they were far from perfect.
On offense, that's a tough one to say. But honestly, one thing that really stood out to me was in that Monday press conference, he pointed out that the turnover on downs on 4th and 2, he said, we've got to get that fixed. And he went on to add that had they scored on that drive, the Irish would have scored on every drive in that game.
Well, the Irish...
That's about as close to perfect as you could get.
It is pretty close. The Irish have not punted the ball in the last 2 games.
And it is a green out here on campus. We just got distracted because Chris Zorich just drove his golf cart
I didn't
by,
know it was Chris
heckling
Zorich.
us in the crowd here on campus. Now, the Irish faithful will be flooding the stadium in a sea of green shirts, jerseys, you name it, and more. Head coach Marcus Freeman confirming the Irish players will be out on the field in their green jerseys as well. It's a tradition that he says actually he leaves that up to the team captains every year, letting them decide if the team will put on their home blues or put those on the shelf and take the field in green. They have opted to match the thousands, the tens of thousands of Irish fans to fill the stadium today. And there's all different types of greens. I've kind of got that dark Kelly green on, or hunter green. You've got a little more kind of in between Kelly. We have an outfit change here. Oh, snap. What do we got?
Sort of the outfit change at 10:30 here.
He's rocking
Breaking
the Notre
out.
Dame jersey.
So this is, I'm assuming, what they're going to be wearing
We'll see.
today. Very similar, but this is very similar to the 2022 jersey that you and I both love versus Ohio State at home. What a spectacular jersey. So we'll see what color they are because they do change them quite a bit.
What are some of your either favorite memories, favorite jerseys through the Irish wear green?
Favorite, I wasn't born yet, but favorite historical memory, 1977 versus USC, the Trojan horse wearing the green jerseys. You said 2012. You love the Bush Push jerseys.
That was 2005.
Oh, five.
The Bush Push game, yes, with Brady Quinn, that team, that game. Man, if they were so close.
Yeah.
If they'd have won that would be one of the greatest Notre Dame football games in history. It still was, even though they lost. Incredible. I really actually liked, and this is like a not necessarily a popular opinion. I liked the green on the green. That this jersey with the green
I do too.
bottoms. Yes.
I'm hoping they don't wear the white pants today because we did talk, and that's coming up later, your interview. You'll be talking to the play-by-play and color analyst with Boise State, and the rumor is they're wearing the all-white jerseys with the blue. So, with that being said, does Notre Dame wear the all-green?
We'll have to see.
We will have to see.
Some of the legends like Reggie Brooks and Alan Pinkett,
Right.
they said, no way.
No
we do
green?
not. They don't like the all green on green. They don't even really like the green jerseys in general.
Because
feel
they
it's a
had bad
gimmick.
luck.
Yep.
Or gimmick, bad luck. If you ask Irish fans before 2020, they weren't winning with the green jerseys.
Right.
So, this is something new. And coming up here on ABC 57 Kickoff, we'll have so much more, including your great interview with Aaron Taylor.
Yeah, on my bucket list of people to get on our show has been for a very long time College Football Hall of Fame offensive lineman Aaron Taylor.
But he has made the transition from Super Bowl champion to college football analyst, so Saturdays aren't an option for him.
Exactly. Lucky for me, I caught up with Aaron at the Golick Family Subpar Classic event at Notre Dame Stadium. We had a great conversation, starting with what the University of Notre Dame means to him.
Aside from marrying my wife, this is the best decision I'd ever made in my life, was to attend Notre Dame. There was this higher calling. There was a standard. There was a type of person that would commit to coming in these winters and smelling the ethanol and doing all the things that you have to do, actually go to class and be challenged. So there was a kinship that I felt right out of the gate, and that just increased as each year went by. And the further I get away from it, the more I can appreciate just how special this place is.
To go from the University of Notre Dame to be such a high draft pick, to then go to the Green Bay Packers and have the career you had there, what was that transition like? And then just how blessed were you to be a part of that team?
It was amazing. I lost 2 games in high school, 7 when I was here in 4 years, and went to back-to-back Super Bowls in Green Bay. So all I knew was championship culture. Unfortunately, after my rookie year, I ruptured my patella tendon and was on IR. Before I even put pads on, I put a helmet on, but never shoulder pads. So my career didn't start out the way that I wanted. But the lessons I learned here about adversity, about being committed to the process, about finding a way to get the job done no matter what, the things that Joe Moore and Lou Holtz and Bryant Young and all my teammates taught me are the things that helped me carry me in the NFL. And I lost the power and strength that I had that made me a really good college player. So I had to become more of a technician in the NFL. And in our business, that can be a negative or a bad word, right? I'm a technical player, but my hands and feet were where they needed to be. And I just found a way to utilize what I still had at that time and went to back-to-back Super Bowls, and I'm a world champion after Super Bowl 31 as a result. So it's just, I've been blessed on the football world. This is the greatest game that's ever been invented because it's a people game. And Notre Dame is a place that attracts the right type of people, and I'm just honored to be a part of it.
Now, one of the reasons I've been hunting you down and not able to get you on the show is because you've made that transition from football to the TV side of things. How has that transition been like for you, and does it kind of keep you in the game a little bit?
It is. As a player, 365, 24/7. Like, football is your baby. In the media, I'm the grandparent, right? So I get to have fun on the weekends and give it back to the coaches and the game the rest of the time. So it's a different relationship, but it's a more joyful relationship. I like to say I'm 52 years old and still on scholarship. I talk about football from mid-August to January 1, and that gives me 8 months to have significance and purpose and community and all the off-the-field stuff that I enjoy, aside from being a husband and a father.
You know, one thing that I learned new was that you actually are one of the main reasons that there is the Joe Moore Award, and that is for the best offensive line in college football. How did that come about?
It's interesting. All the way back in 2015, his family in Pittsburgh would have an offensive line camp every year, and they would always invite me, and we had this conversation. It was about the room, the guys, and it didn't matter whether you were a walk-on or an All-American. Everybody was equal in that room, and that was the brainchild. I went to the website and looked up all the different college football awards. Every single one of them was an individual award, and boom, that was the light bulb. We need to find a way to celebrate tackle to tackle, the most outstanding offensive line unit in the country, and celebrate the principles that Joe Moore most embodied, and that was teamwork and toughness. And humbly, in 10 years, we found a way to do that, and I can't wait to what these next 10 more years are going to look like.
With that said, do you think that this Notre Dame offensive line has a shot at that this year?
With Coach Rudolph coaching them and what they got at tackle and the development I'm seeing inside, absolutely. They were semifinalists in 2024. I'd be shocked if they weren't at least that or make the next step to being a finalist this season.
So we shall see if this Notre Dame offensive line can live up to that hype and get back into the running for the Joe Moore Award. But I just think that's so cool, a former Notre Dame offensive line coach to have this award. I mean, that's in the realm of the Davey O'Brien, the Nagurski, the Heisman, all of these major awards, and the offensive line award, it spawned from a former Notre Dame offensive lineman who's a college football Hall of Famer, and of course from the O-lineman coach himself.
Well, what mentors he had too, which is near and dear to my heart. The Green Bay Packers won a Super Bowl in 1997 with Brett Favre. What a team that was. But think about it. Even though he was a defensive lineman, he had so much to learn from Reggie White and just so many good things on that Packers team. Unbelievable.
Yes, Aaron, obviously,
right.
Offensive lineman. His main job, protecting your guy.
He did a good job of that. Did a great job. So great story. Awesome to catch up with Aaron Taylor.
Yeah, really, really cool. He was just one of the greatest guys. I got to meet him at a Super Bowl party, by the way, and I just was in awe. And he was so cool, so gracious, just a really, really great guy.
Well, toughness, tradition runs deep inside the house that Rockne built. We'll be right back with that story coming up next.
We're just hanging out with the kids. Everybody gets a shopping gift card, so I'm here to shop around with them and hang out and get to know them and see what kind of stuff they get.
Probably saw him catching touchdowns on TV for Notre Dame. But Jaden Greathouse, wide receiver from Notre Dame here.
South Bend and Mishawaka are smaller areas, and so, it's always a blessing to be able to, get out in the community and interact with everybody and, have an impact on the kids and, especially those that look up to me and just be a positive influence for them. It's just great to be a part of the community.
Oh, it was really exciting. They had no idea what they were getting themselves into tonight. We just said that we were going to do something fun. So when they found out they got to buy whatever they wanted really in the store, they were so excited.
We buy sports and we buy hockey and basketball.
One of the things that makes Notre Dame different, obviously the community is super into football and rallies around the football team, and so it's just as good as when you're able to do that for them and be able to be a positive impact in everyone's lives and be able to get to know everybody. So it's just returning the favor.
Well, shout out to our Pete Lacapo for putting that together. He did a nice job on that. And how cute was that little guy? He said, we bought the hockey, we bought the basketball.
Awesome.
Oh, so cute.
Awesome. And to see Jaden Greathouse interacting with the fans, he had such a phenomenal playoffs last year, 2024. He was one of the reasons that Notre Dame beat Penn State, beat Georgia. Really hasn't contributed all that much on the stat line, per se, in 2025. But he's done some blocking. And as we know, Marcus has said that's a huge part of it. But injured this week and may not go.
Yeah, and he just started to seem like he was kind of starting to get his footing and starting to make some strides. So hopefully we're hearing it won't last long. We'll talk more about that in our On the Men's segment coming up. Now, toughness and tradition run deep here inside the house that Rockne built. From the field to the stands and beyond the sidelines, one athlete is fighting an invisible battle of his own.
ABC 57's Jackie Bauer takes us through his journey with type 1 diabetes after joining one Notre Dame cheerleader, Nick Hain, at practice Thursday night.
That's right. For Notre Dame cheerleaders, game day is all about preparedness and precision. And for one team leader, that prep goes beyond the sidelines.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. This one.
And it's all about the numbers for senior Nick Hain. From keeping track of counts and his finance and political science double major, with this pressing thought on top of it all.
I really think my biggest thought is just not to drop her.
To keeping track of a game day routine and numbers of his own.
And then I get ready, and I love game days. I love the Fighting Irish, so I get a lot of adrenaline sometimes, which will raise my blood sugar, and so sometimes I have to be aware of that.
A skill he developed at just 10 years old when he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
I kind of had the misconception that I was maybe a little bit unhealthy or didn't manage my life properly, and that's why I had diabetes, and that's not necessarily the story that type 1 diabetes is at all.
His love for cheerleading came nearly a decade later when he started his freshman year at the University of Notre Dame.
Me a QR code. It's like, Nick, you have to join the cheer team. This would totally be up your alley. And I was like, hey, I've never done cheer before, but you know what? Maybe this is my new college thing that I should try out and really explore. And I did, and I walked in the gym for fall tryouts, and was given a spot on the team. And
Today, beneath the blue and gold, Nick wears an insulin pump.
little road bumps that you have to continually overcome. And honestly, I feel like I'm just more prepared for like academics, athletics, everything I have to do here at Notre Dame, because I always have to prepare for diabetes.
And as he and the Fighting Irish prepare for game day, he's not alone. 2 of his teammates also live with type 1 diabetes.
Nice. Good stuff. I'll take an apple juice break a lot during practice, but it's honestly great apple juice and I don't mind it.
For Nick, managing diabetes is just part of his routine and something he's learned to see as a strength and not a setback.
It's definitely something that I have to manage every day and prepare for, but it's something that I've embraced and I kind of view as a blessing in disguise now. So
he's leading not just the crowd or his teammates, but the way for the next generation of athletes facing their own invisible battles.
You know, my advice is to prepare and then to execute on the opportunities that you've been given.
I think the fight song that Nick and his teammates lead thousands in on game day says it best. Shake down the thunder. And for him, that thunder is not just the roaring crowd, but his own silent battle. Reporting outside of Notre Dame Stadium, I'm Jackie Bauer, ABC 57 News.
Welcome to the Morris Estate in Niles, Allison, in your backyard.
I grew up here and I've always heard about it, but this is actually my first time stepping foot on the property. I am so excited. It is so beautiful. And we are now here at the River House.
Let's get a tour.
Vahid Allison, welcome to the River House at the Morris Estate. It is 16,800 square feet. Beautiful house along the St. Joseph River. We are on 630 acres. So essentially it's tranquil beauty and elegance all wrapped into one.
All right, well, I'm excited. Should we take a tour?
Absolutely. Follow me. The first place I want to take you to is actually our Grand Hall. And we call it that for a really good reason. It's definitely hosted some memorable events and dinners as well. From rehearsal to corporate retreats. This is just a beautiful, spacious view of the property.
Wow. Love the chandeliers.
It really does set the tone for the type of experience that people are going to have in the space. We're very well known, and we use this space quite often for our culinary experiences. We have our 6-course that are unforgettable. They really are. Chef Thomas, he brings food from all over the world, and people continually come back to experience that. From a lodging perspective, we have 6 suites that hold 2 guests each, but for cocktail-style parties, sit-down dinners, anywhere from 50 to 75 guests come in.
This is amazing, but you know what I find so interesting is that there's actually a tie to Notre Dame here as well.
Absolutely. So the interesting thing is Ian Morris was a student at Notre Dame, and he actually, during his studies, he was unable to continue because he didn't have the funds to go on. So he actually went to Father Kavanaugh and asked 2 things. If, 1, he could continue his studies on credit, but more importantly, to watch his horse. And Father Kavanaugh absolutely agreed to both of them, which was really fortunate. The amazing thing about the Morrises and the Morris name is where it can be found throughout, not just here at the estate, but also on the university's campus. The Morris Inn at Notre Dame would be one of those spaces. The Morris Civic downtown South Bend. But also, he loved to preserve history. So anytime it looked like something was going to be destroyed or torn down, he would have it moved onto the property, restored, and kept for us to enjoy. We have a French and Indian trading post from the 1830s.
Oh my
that
gosh.
are one of our cabins that was floated down the St. Joseph River and placed where it is today. So everywhere on the 630 acres of this beautiful estate, you not only find tranquility, but you find history and just a new adventure around every corner.
So beautiful. And it is crazy. I grew up in Niles. I had no idea that they had that connection to Notre Dame at the Morris Inn, the Morris Civic Auditorium in downtown. It's just really, really amazing and beautiful, and Nate and his staff just mwah.
Wish we could show all of it. Too
Yes.
much to pack into 2.5 minutes, but it was such a beautiful property. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Morris Estate, for taking us around. We'll be right back with your hot game day forecast right after this on ABC 57 Kickoff.
With the same rich tradition of the Irish.
Wake up the echoes cheering her name.
Send the volley cheer on high.
Shake down the thunder from the sky.
What though the odds be great or small?
Old Notre Dame will win overall.
While her loyal sons and daughters
march on to victory.
It's Tim Brown, Heisman Trophy winner, and you're watching ABC 57 Kickoff.
You're watching ABC 57 Kickoff, presented by Afdent Dental, live from the campus of Notre Dame, with your hosts, Allison Hayes and Vahid Sadrazadeh.
Welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff. I'm Allison Hayes.
And I'm Vahid Sadrazadeh. Irish wear green today, and we certainly have it on. And Notre Dame, Boise State today from Notre Dame Stadium. Kickoff time is 3:30, and it is a playoff game for both teams. Every game a playoff game and a must-win for the Irish.
Yeah, with it being so hot, it doesn't quite feel like October football, but it does feel a little bit like playoff football here today, because both teams absolutely need a win today in order to keep those playoff hopes alive. Boise State enters the game today on a 3-game win streak after a tough 34-7 loss to South Florida to start the season.
Well, the Broncos have beaten Eastern Washington, Air Force, Appalachian State. We got an App State alum here, but you know the numbers are pointing up. But Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman says they're not overlooking the Broncos.
You know, their offense is explosive. They've averaged about 500-plus yards in 4 games. And I always say it starts with that quarterback. They got a good quarterback that's experienced, that's tough, gritty, takes care of the ball. So it'll be a good challenge for our defense again. And then their defense is a high-pressure attacking unit. Like, we'll see more pressure if they continue to do what they've done than we've seen all year. It's going to be a great challenge for us to protect our quarterback. That's going to be important.
Well, head coach Marcus Freeman talking all week about how his team needs to get better, but it's the bumpy road to better, the 0-2 start. You know, it's the offense coming together. It's the defense playing better, and they've really snapped out of their slump. It seems like, and finally Irish fans can look towards the positives.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, the biggest bright spot is the offense under Mike Denbrock. Let Mike do what he does best. ABC 57's Talia Baya takes a closer look at the stars and the stats driving this unit. Hey, Talia.
Hey, Allison and Vahid. Yes, this Irish offense has been absolutely rolling this season. They're currently ranked 9th in the nation in scoring, averaging 44 points a game. And they put on an absolute show against Arkansas, piling up 641 total yards. That was more than any FBS team last weekend. Multiple players told me this week it's all thanks to their young quarterback. He's a huge part of that success. Freshman quarterback C.J. Carr lit up the Razorbacks defense, completing over 73% of his passes, throwing for 354 yards and 4 touchdowns. His breakout performance got Carr selected as the Manning Award Quarterback of the Week, the Sean Alexander Freshman of the Week, and also earned a spot on the Davey O'Brien Great 8 list.
He's in the office as early as we are. Like, he's sitting in there waiting on Gino, soaking it in like a sponge. He got good questions, and he's ahead of time. He's ahead of his time.
That passing total was the most by a Notre Dame quarterback since 2022, and his 4 touchdown passes in the first half tied for the second most in program history.
The confidence has always been there with him. I haven't met a quarterback like that that's been confident as much as he had, but he commands the huddle. He says what he got to say, and everybody listens and does their job.
And Carr is making noise beyond South Bend. He leads all freshmen in yards per attempt, yards per completion, and passing efficiency.
It helps us out a lot when we go against other dynamic quarterbacks because we go against CJ every day, so he can make certain throws, a lot of quarterbacks in the country can't make.
On the ground, Jadarian Price led the way with 13 carries and 86 yards for a total of 2 touchdowns. Jeremiah Love, of course, followed closely with 14 carries on 57 yards and picking up 4 touchdowns.
Sky's the limit. I think we're to the point now where we see eye to eye.
Now, in the air, a pass catcher has become one of Carr's go-to weapons. Jordan Faison. Against the Razorbacks, Faison hauled in 7 receptions for 89 yards.
It's like he's got a lucky clover in his back pocket every time because he's always in the right place. He's always doing what he should do.
And of those 7 receptions, 6 went for first downs, about as efficient as you can find.
We still have those 2 losses that are in the back of my mind, or back of our minds, and we're going to use that as motivation to keep on going.
This will be another big challenge for the Irish because the NCAA currently has Boise State ranked 9th in the nation in total offense. That's right behind number 4, Ole Miss. And they're also leading in the Mountain West Conference, averaging over 7 yards per play. Marcus Freeman told me the other day the key will be winning their one-on-one matchups. But coming up next up is Talia's Takes, where I break down social media and what's been trending, so you won't want to miss that. But for now, reporting from the campus of Notre Dame, I'm Talia Baya. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks so much, Talia. Still much more to come here on ABC 57 Kickoff. As you see, they're on the men. Who's in, who's out for Week 5 of the college football season.
That's right. I'm also going to go up inside Notre Dame Stadium in the radio booth and talk with the play-by-play voices of the Broncos. Plus, we have an Irish legend here joining us live, Paul Moala. Not just an Irish legend, a Penn Kingsman legend as well. He'll be up right next.
He's going through concussion protocols, but all tests and everything are negative for everything else, which is thank you, Jesus, for that. And so he's going through concussion protocols still day to day in regards to if he's going to be able to play this game or not, and we'll walk that path accordingly.
Well, that was Boise State coach Spencer Daniels talking about Broncos defensive back Jaden Mickey. The Notre Dame transfer suffered a very scary-looking head injury in last week's game against Appalachian State, where he had to be carted off the field. Of course, Mickey played for Notre Dame, wearing number 20 here, colliding with a teammate on a kickoff return in the third quarter, losing his helmet, laying limp on the field for several minutes. Mickey was carted off the field on a stretcher and taken to a local hospital for evaluation. Richardson says that Mickey is in concussion protocol, but he passed all brain, skeletal, and muscular evaluations, and he is a game-time decision today. Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman reached out to his former player after the incident to make sure he was all right.
I love that guy, and you never want to see anybody get hurt, but somebody you truly care about get hurt. And I didn't see it on Saturday. I was made aware it happened Saturday, but I saw it as we were preparing on Sunday, and I just wanted to make sure he was okay. And he told me he was okay, and that's what matters. And I know Jaden Mickey, if he's going to be available to play, he's going to find a way to play on Saturday. But all I care about is his health. Like, these are relationships that last forever, right? You invest into these young people, and for the rest of our lives, we're going to have a relationship just like you do with every one of your players.
Well, you can certainly feel the love that Coach Freeman has for Jaden Mickey. Of course, he left the Notre Dame football team midway through last season, just a few months after his mother passed away from cancer.
I know a lot of Irish fans are praying for Mickey's return. Again, he is out today. The very latest, right, breaking that he is out today. But he is making the trip down there. They have confirmed he will be here to see some of his former teammates. Mickey has 9 tackles, 1 for a loss, 1 fumble, forced fumble, and recovery this season for the Broncos.
We're all rooting for him, and they're lighting a candle at the grotto today for him as well. Now, time now to check in on our Notre Dame injury report. There is some good news and some bad news for the Irish. Of course, star cornerback Leonard Moore has been upgraded to probable for today's game. That is great news after missing the last 2 with a high ankle sprain. Moore is expected to return to the lineup, while head coach Marcus Freeman says Moore is not 100%. He has made, quote, tremendous gains. And even when he's not at 100%, Moore is adding a significant boost to that Irish secondary. And then defensive tackle Donovan Heinisch, he's also been upgraded to probable after an undisclosed injury.
Well, it's bad news for wide receiver Jaden Greathouse. Multiple reports indicating that the slot receiver will miss today's game with a thigh injury. He suffered this week during practice. Greathouse, 4 catches, 73 yards this season, including a 24-yard reception last week against Arkansas. You know, Jaden has had, we talked about this earlier, quiet season.
Yeah, a little bit of a slow start to this season, but he was so great in the playoffs leading in to the chance to play in the national championship. It felt like, though, he was starting to come along, and we were seeing him making some strides. He had 2 great catches, including a 24-yarder against Arkansas last week.
Expectations are that Greathouse hopefully will not miss too much time, and we'll see about Leonard Moore. If it's a close game, does he come in? The high ankle sprain, you want to be very, very careful because you can re-injure that quickly.
Absolutely, and you want him at his
That's
best,
right.
especially when they play USC.
That's
Now,
right.
former Notre Dame linebacker and Penn High School star Paul Moala joining us now here on ABC 57 Kickoff. You know a thing or two about dealing with injuries, but it's really awesome to have a hometown guy joining us now. Of course, Penn Kingsman. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, first, just kind of tell us what your experience was like. How did you get yourself here to Notre Dame? I know you grew up nearby. This had to be a dream place for you.
Oh, for sure. Growing up here, you know, Notre Dame football is all that I knew as far as college football went. And so once I had gotten the opportunity to come here, that it was, you know, I didn't take a second guess. I knew that this was home for me. So. Yeah.
Well, you had offers from multiple schools, Iowa, Hawaii. What was it about Notre Dame? Besides being in your hometown here, you know, everybody has a Notre Dame story.
Yeah.
You know, what was it like for you?
My Notre Dame story started when I came on my official visit and had an interview with the special teams coordinator, and he kind of told me just the tradition and the culture behind Notre Dame and, you know, what to expect. And just seeing my parents, you know, break down and cry in that meeting room kind of finalized the deal for me and sealed the deal for me. So I told them that I was ready to commit that day.
Well, we talked earlier offset about I was actually at your signing day at Penn High School.
Yeah.
What seems like a long time ago now, but take me back to that day and what was that like, you know, that signing day and just being in the moment and knowing that you're committing to your dream school?
Yeah, I mean, it was surreal, you know, just to be there with my family and, you know, just to grow up watching Notre Dame football and then, you know, being that transition of, you know, being able to play there, coming out of Penn High School and being a local kid, it was truly just a dream come true, and I'm truly blessed to be able to say that I did play here, so.
And talk a little bit about your time at Penn and just, you know, such a great program that they've developed there in football, in so many sports, actually. And how did your time and experience at Penn help you to get to Notre Dame, to where you are today?
Yeah, there were 2 things that I took away from Penn, and one of the things was winning culture, just to understand that, you know, what's behind a winning team and, you know, just the traditions behind that. And, you know, being part of that long black line has taught me, you know, to take care of business outside of classes and things like that. But the other thing also is just being comfortable with being uncomfortable. I came in being you know, outside linebacker my freshman year, and then Coach Corey Yeoman, he had actually asked me to transition to being a safety, and so he granted me that opportunity, and it was a blessing in the end of it because although I was uncomfortable, I made it look comfortable, and you know I had a great season playing under the Yeomans, and shout out to those guys. You know, I dedicate a lot of my success to those guys. Todd Yeoman and Corey Yeoman. So
Corey is incredible, and I loved covering him back when I was doing high school football back in the day. So just a great guy, great tradition and history for all the coaches that have come through Penn.
Yep.
Well, Paul, talk about your experience at Notre Dame. I know some ups and downs. You were highlighted a fumble recovery for a touchdown, but physically you had a couple injuries and then you decided to transfer. Kind of walk us through that process.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in the season of 2020, Game 4, I had ruptured my right Achilles, and then worked my way back, was ready to play the next season under Coach Freeman, who had come in, and then first game, first play, tore my left Achilles of 2021 season, was out 2 seasons in a row. At the end of that season, it wasn't my decision, just because, I mean, I did want to stay here and play for Notre Dame. You know, it's my dream school. I wanted to stay, and But, football's a business, and, I understood what was going on at the time. And so I was asked after getting my degree to depart and transfer or to medically retire. And so I kind of took the road less traveled by and decided to continue playing football and transfer to Idaho and then eventually Georgia Tech. So.
Well, and then that's our next question is, getting that opportunity at Idaho and really proving yourself, balling out, if you will. And that led you to your opportunity at Georgia Tech. But at Idaho, just some numbers for you. 4 interceptions, 2 sacks, a forced fumble. That, of course, is going to get you some interest from some other big-time programs. And Georgia Tech was where you ended up. Once you got there, a season that was solid. You had 11 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 2 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles. How were you able to make the most of that situation, not let it define you and let your dream end, but really build off of that?
I think the biggest thing for me, and I said that coming into Notre Dame, was just give me the opportunity and I'll make sure that I make the most of it. And so, after leaving Notre Dame, Idaho was one of the only teams that was willing to give me that opportunity. And so I tried to make the most of it, and then eventually wanted to push myself a little bit harder and, train somewhere that would give me a little bit more eyes as far as going to the NFL would go. But, just give me the opportunity was kind of my mindset going into this. So, yeah.
Well, I want to ask you about this year's defense because they're hot, they're cold. What are you taking away from this year's, particularly Chris Ash? A lot of finger pointing maybe early on in the season. Is it the coordinator? Is it the inexperienced guys? What is it in your opinion?
I think it's a difficult topic just because, coming in with a new defensive coordinator, it's hard for guys to kind of get adjusted. I knew that. I experienced that at Georgia Tech. And just having a new defensive coordinator for me mid-season, it's tough. It's tough to, kind of rally under somebody that, you don't really have too much familiarity with. But as we've seen in the last couple of weeks, they started to, gain a little bit more confidence and, understand their roles a little bit more. So I'm excited to see what they do the rest of the season.
Well, Paul Moala, thank you so much for joining us. And look at you. I mean, he looks incredible. You're still playing football. If you want to watch him, the UFL, this is going to be your second season.
That is correct. Yes, this is going to be my second year. So, yeah, I'm really excited this year, so we'll see where that takes me.
Remind me of the team, San Antonio?
So they actually got rid of the team, but they're planning on relocating that team. We'll see. News will come out in the next week, possibly Orlando, but exciting news. So,
well, we will be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate it.
We still have much more to come here on ABC 57 Kickoff. Well, it's 10 years of ABC 57 Kickoff, and this week we're taking a look back at the story of Father Andrew Budzinski.
Back in 2018, we introduced you to Father Bud, as they called him, and told you how he became a leader in the church after getting his start cheering on the Irish as a Notre Dame leprechaun in the early 90s. Take a look.
It's not living a dream, it's living a reality that is heaven on earth.
Abiding ambassador, courageous commander, pious priest. Father Andrew Budzinski delivers daily a message of hope, faith, and forward to the many that pray in these pews at St. John the Baptist Catholic Church in Fort Wayne. A South Bend native, Father Andrew, as they call him now, was even a priest in a play.
It was Anything Goes. It was it's the last play I ever did in my life. It was my senior year, and I played this guy who was a criminal disguised as a priest. I never thought anything of it. Just thought, yeah, it's cool. And then it wasn't until a couple of years after being ordained a priest, I went, wait a minute, I dressed up like a priest for that musical. So God's got a great sense of humor. It was like he was saying, hey, guess what? I got some big plans for you.
But believe it or not, the congregation wasn't always the calling for this cleric.
I thought about being a priest when I was in kindergarten. I thought about being a priest. Then it's like, no, I want to be an astronaut. Then it was, I'll be an actor. Then it was, I'll be in radio. In fact, I really didn't become really aware of it until my mid-20s.
A student at Notre Dame, Father Andrew confesses he was not a devout Catholic, rather taking interest in the Irish.
I grew up a Notre Dame fan, huge football fan, loved it.
And as fate would have it, this father found folly in a different kind of sanctuary.
Oh, there's Norm from Cheers. And then Spike Lee there. So you'd see these guys at games. And you could just walk up to them because, hey, I'm the Leprechaun. On that campus, when you're the Leprechaun, everyone knows your name. Everyone knows where your hometown is, what dorm you live in. So all of a sudden, through no merit of your own, you're thrust into instant, popularity.
From 1993 to 1995, the Budman delivered happiness.
It was living the dream. It really was.
In a house that Rockne built.
You're standing for something. When you're the mascot, you're a symbol. You're a figure for a larger thing. Now, I'm in a position where, again, I'm standing for something bigger than me, and ultimately not pointing to me, but pointing to God. Just as the Leprechaun, doesn't really point to himself. He stands for something bigger. He stands for the university.
And though he didn't know his calling then, Father Ted was always an inspiration.
He would say Mass every single day as a priest, and I've done the same thing. I remember that.
Years later, while the green has turned to black, memories of Touchdown Jesus are forever forged in his life.
That brings me great joy. Doing something like the Leprechaun, being a representative, being out there in front of people, having to speak to a great number of people, be on your good behavior, things like that. I think it definitely did prepare me for, my lifelong vocation.
Whether the luck of the Irish or just meant to be, Father Andrew calls his journey a blessing.
I came here 2 years ago, new parish, and they know about it, but it's not a huge deal to them. And that's actually kind of a relief that they see me more as spiritual father, their priest, than former Leprechaun. Thank God.
That's my favorite line. But Andrew, one of my favorite stories that I've done here while I've lived in South Bend over the course of the last 10 years, of course, we've brought you these look-back packages. We've had a priest on the show, we've had a leprechaun on the show, and we brought it full circle with Father Budzinski as well, which we've got some breaking news.
Yes, he's back in the area.
It's awesome. He's back at St. Matthew's Cathedral on Miami Street. He's been here for over a year. Thanks to Jerry, our executive producer, for sharing that with us. So appreciate that news. But really, it's so interesting how he's taken his experiences in life and translated that to being a priest and a leader for so many.
And just starting out with small roots
Right.
in Buchanan and see the journey that he's been able to be on. Really, really cool.
We'll be right back here on ABC 57 Kickoff. It's a hot one from the house that Rockne built.
The best running back duo in the country. Jadarian Price. Come on. Break it down now. Break it down now. Jeremiah Love.
Wow. I mean, just to watch these running backs do what they do. Jeremiah Love, everybody knows that name, and he's starting to get brought up in that Heisman conversation. But Jadarian Price, he's the number 2 guy. He could be the number 1 guy anywhere else in the country. Notre Dame is so blessed to have those 2 guys in the backfield together, let alone you got Aeneas Williams, you got Jabron Payne when he's healthy. I mean, this is a now year after year loaded backfield.
Well, one of the main reasons they're back to 500 and they're back in the conversation of the national championship and the playoff picture. It's going to be those 2 guys and C.J. Carr, the big 3, leading them to the promised land if they're to get there.
Yeah, and you said it, back to 500. The Irish certainly certainly have their offense to thank for that. For this 2-game win streak to now close out September. Now we're in October.
Yep.
Things are getting serious, putting up 56 points per game and getting right back into the college football playoff conversation. 56 points per game in their last 2 wins.
Correct, on fire. But while the offense has been red hot, the path to get to 2-2 has been anything but smooth. Head coach Marcus Freeman's message this week: settle in and get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
The bumpy road to better.
Growing pains.
Sometimes experience, it can mean failure at times. Failure makes you uncomfortable, but failure helps you grow.
A third of the way through the 2025 college football season, with the Irish sitting at 2-2 and every game a must-win.
Discomfort comes from a place of need. There's ways to get better all over the place, but it still comes from a need of each individual.
Notre Dame continues to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
The pain of failure is not much different than physical pain. Is that when you have physical pain, the first thing you want to do is you want it to stop. All right? And it's the same when you have pain from failure. It's a reflection of you're uncomfortable.
With their backs against the wall, while not perfect, the defense has delivered when called upon, holding the nation's 5th best offense to a pedestrian 13 points on 365 total yards.
Hand the ball off 4-24, let our O-line grind it and get bodies on bodies.
But sometimes the best defense is a good offense.
You give you a little eye candy is how we like to call it.
And the Irish offense has been nothing short of spectacular.
Let's do what we do really, really well. Now, we can hide it with some window dressing. We can shift, we can motion. That's the creative side that we'll continue to have, but you don't need to be too much more creative than what we're doing right now.
During their back-to-back wins, Notre Dame's offense has scored 112 points, racked up over 1,170 total yards of offense, and has leaned on the big three for the bulk of their production. Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, and C.J. Carr all putting up big-time numbers.
It's rare to be a second-year college football player playing in your 5th game and performing at a level he's performing at. It's rare, but I think C.J. Carr is rare. He has that trait, like he hates to lose.
If the Irish are to not lose again in 2025, their offense will be the ones to carry them through.
There's no lead that's comfortable. There's no lead that's comfortable. There is no take your foot off the accelerator.
Because the playoffs, they started 2 weeks ago for Marcus Freeman's team. And the only way forward is to get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Our challenge as we move forward is continue to be uncomfortable. It's natural to feel good, feel satisfied. We have to be uncomfortable because that's the only way you grow.
Well, interesting to hear head coach Marcus Freeman talk about the big three, talk about the pressure on his offense now to score every possession, essentially. If the defense is gonna let you take the ball up and down the field. But I do want to say something here, and we've seen head coach Marcus Freeman more animated than ever this year at the podium, at the post-game press conferences, starting 0-2. Rookie QB, defensive struggles. If they get to the playoffs and maybe a national championship run, I think that this would be his best coaching job ever by a long shot. And I think he did a great job last year, but this year with the struggles, with all of those things I mentioned, it would be his best head coaching job, and he's real. You could tell he is into it this season.
Yeah, I totally agree. Last year they sort of overachieved, but a lot of that, they had the luck of the Irish when it came to their draws in the playoffs as well, but incredible not to take anything away from that. But yes, absolutely, to come through what they've gone through this season definitely would be a real statement in his overall career. And, after back-to-back wins, Irish fans are finally showing some love on social media again. Our ABC57 kickoff reporter, Talia Baya, has been scrolling all week, checking out what is the buzz after that Week 5 matchup. Talia, what's the vibe online?
Hey, Allison and Vahid, let me tell you, Irish Nation is finally cooling off. I guess winning 2 in a row will do that. And for the first time this season, my timeline isn't filled with frustration. It's filled with hype. And the energy online is definitely setting the tone for this big showdown. On the top of the list, of course, Notre Dame's big win against Arkansas. Fans were loving it, with networks even ranking the Irish offense as the best of the weekend. But some fans took to social media saying the coaching staff went too far. The plays, being too extravagant, went up by that many points. My take:
doing a fake punt up by 30 is pretty wild, but they've also been doing it for years, so it's not a secret, and I'm sure they have plenty of plays up their sleeve for the future.
With the big win came big praise for quarterback CJ Carr in the college football world. So far, he has posted up 9 touchdowns for almost 1,100 yards. CBS Sports even putting him as a top 4 star after week 5. Carr even had the Boise State football head coach calling him a future first-round pick this week.
Their quarterback, man, he's going to be a future first-round draft pick. I don't think I'm the first one that will say that.
This win only bumped the Irish up a spot in the AP polls, clearly upsetting the Notre Dame world. One person saying the only reason they're not ranked higher is because the 2 losses were 1 week apart and not 8. One Fox analyst made a playoff bracket with Notre Dame and Ole Miss matching up in the first round. This response going viral. It compares Ole Miss's and Notre Dame's final score against Arkansas. Pretty good point if you ask me. And speaking of viral, these potential uniforms are making fans go crazy. My take as someone who loves fashion is yes, yes, and yes again. Moving to the other side of the ball, Boise State's quarterback is making some noise. He's definitely a threat to the Irish defense, posting up record stats. He's on a 3-0 run, and similar to Carr, he's got 9 touchdowns under his belt, ranking as a top 4 quarterback in the G5. Even said earlier this week that he believes his quarterback is the best in the nation. And then Marcus Freeman also chimed in, telling me that he's definitely going to be a threat because he's got that confident arm and he can scramble when needed, even saying that he's got that, quote, it factor. So my take is that it's definitely going to be a battle of the offenses, and hopefully CJ Carr can keep up his good playing streak. But for now, reporting live from the campus of Notre Dame, I'm Talia Baya, ABC57 News, and we'll be back right after the break.
Off Genty again, up the middle to the 30, gets to the outside, to the 40, to the 50, to the 40, to the 30, to the 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Ashton Genty. It's 20-0, 75 yards for Ashton Genty on the run.
Well, I've made my way up here into the radio booth inside Notre Dame Stadium, catching up with the voice and color analyst here of the Broncos. We've got Bob Beeler, and we've got former Boise State offensive lineman Pete Cavender. Guys, thank you so much for letting me steal you away. I know you've got your broadcast to get ready for, but, we had just heard the radio broadcast last season, Ashton Genty's 75-yard touchdown run in the conference championship game. How much has this offense changed since Genty left?
Well, he gained 2,600 yards last year and 29 rushing touchdowns, and a lot of those were 75 yards. So the running backs this year, there's been 3 guys that have pretty much, split the duties, and they all have different strengths. Sire Gaines, along with Malik Sherrod and Dylan Riley, they all do something a little bit different than one another. But I think when you look at the numbers, they're kind of comparable to Genty. They've done a nice job, but it also helps that 4 returning starters from the offensive line from our championship team last year are back.
Talk about Maddox and just the season that he's had, over 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns, just 1 interception all season. What makes him so difficult to defend?
Well, I just think he's a smart player. He's played a lot, even though he's just a junior. He was projected as the Mount West preseason offensive player of the year. And he's just grown. And I think not having that security blanket of Ashton Genty behind him has kind of forced him to step up. And I think that's helped his confidence even. The thing for me, though, is he's kind of struggled at moments like against Oregon and against Penn State. And, of course, Notre Dame is a big animal just like those 2 teams are. And so it's going to be important for him to stay protected from that offensive line. If a bad play is happening, don't make it worse. Go and throw it away. Punting the ball is not the worst thing in the world. So he's just been very productive, smart with the football, and obviously getting the ball to his playmakers.
Well, sort of on the flip side of that, Notre Dame's offense absolutely cooking so far this season. C.J. Carr has had an incredible start to his career as a redshirt freshman. How do you like this matchup for the Broncos secondary up against C.J. Carr and these wide receivers?
Well, the secondary has had some struggles this year, except last week. They played really well against an Appalachian State team that came in throwing for almost 360 yards a game. They came in ranked third in the country in passing yards, and they were held to 65. So the secondary had its best game of the season last week against Appalachian State. They had a couple of pick sixes for scores. This year, Boise State with 5 interceptions already through 4 games. Last year, we only had 7 total. We've also upped our sack game, had 5 sacks, 6 hurries last week, something that hadn't always been there earlier in the season. Last year, Boise State led the nation with 55 sacks. So I think the combination of you need to pressure Carr, and then obviously you need to be able to cover on the back end. If the guys play as well as they did against Appalachian State, that should be good enough. But Notre Dame's a different animal. A lot of tall, a lot of good receivers, athletic guys, and I think Carr has gotten better as the season's gone along.
Well, and also the defensive line is going to have a challenge trying to get pressure on C.J. Carr, but also really trying to slow down this run game that Notre Dame has in Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. How do you like that matchup? Is it possible for them to slow them down?
Well, I don't like that matchup, just to be frank. But, of course, our D-line's played great this year. I think that was kind of the one question mark, I think, coming into this season on our defense was defensive line play. But I think they've played really well. They've allowed our linebackers to roam free a little bit. And so it's going to be important, I think, just to kind of plug those holes, trying to get Notre Dame's offensive line on different levels. When I look at Notre Dame, they're not really weak in any spots. But if there is one kind of spot where they can maybe be better, it's probably offensive line. And for me, when I watched the Miami game, your guys' opening game of the season, I know Miami's got one of the best defensive lines in the country, and so that created issues for them. And so I hope Boise State's defensive line can kind of be similar almost to Miami was in game 1, of course, if you're rooting for Boise State.
All right, Bob, just to wrap us up here, taking a look at this matchup, Notre Dame, a big favorite coming in. What has to happen for Boise State to pull off the upset here at Notre Dame Stadium?
Well, I think Boise State has to shut off the big plays for Notre Dame. I think, you looked at last week against Arkansas. I think they scored the first 6 times they had the ball and didn't punt all day. So I think they need to try to make it as difficult as possible. And then on the flip side, when they get the ball, they have to cash in on their opportunities. And if they can maybe slow the game down where time of possession becomes a factor, you keep Notre Dame's offense off the field by possessing the ball yourself. But Boise State, when they get in the red zone, you're going to have to score touchdowns, I think, to beat Notre Dame. I don't know, Pete, if it's a game where a high-scoring game is better than for Boise State or not, but I think our offense is going to have to score.
Yeah, in my opinion, a shootout does not favor Boise State at all. I think Boise State's best chance of winning this game is really being efficient, running the football, protecting the rock, don't have any turnovers offensively, try to get some defensively, and try to win that time of possession battle. Because to Bob's point, the more you keep Notre Dame's high-powered offense on the sideline, I think better for Boise State.
Well, Bob Beeler and Pete Cavender, the radio play-by-play and color analyst for the Broncos today, thank you both so much for joining us and allowing us to be in your radio booth. I hope you have a great broadcast.
Bah! Well, some people have the turnover change. We have the GOAT Award. We are debuting this baby when we come back on ABC 57 Kickoff, plus your final predictions.
Welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff. I'm meteorologist Dave Caulfield. The weather, a big story, not for the rain like early in the season, but for the temperatures. Definitely not feeling like early October in South Bend, with highs today in the mid to upper 80s. That's about 20 degrees above normal for this time of year. And if we reach temperatures above 85 degrees, it will actually make it the warmest October game day temperature on record in the history of Notre Dame Stadium, which goes back to 1930. And we are expecting temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. We would beat the Pitt game back in 2010, where temperatures headed up to 85 degrees. But it's going to be a hot one no matter what. We're already encroaching on 80 degrees, so make sure you stay hydrated and try and stay cool as much as possible. From Eddy Street, meteorologist Dave Caulfield with ABC 57 Kickoff.
Too hot for a GOAT Award today. This is something new we're debuting on ABC 57 Kickoff to recognize a member of our behind-the-scenes staff that has made this show run for 10 years.
Yeah, we get so much credit on camera, but there's so much work that goes on behind the scenes. We cannot do this without all of their help. So without further ado, our very first GOAT Award winner, Chris Johnson.
Woo!
We got Chris.
Literally, without Chris, none of this would be
Come on
happening.
over.
Come, Chris.
He fixes everything. If something goes wrong ever, we are
Look at
calling
that.
him. He's the first
Congrats.
person that we call.
And it's Chris's birthday today.
Yes.
Happy
Yes.
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Chris.
Happy birthday to you.
Big Wisconsin fan over here, so he's one of my favorites. So you're going to join us for final predictions.
All right. Okay.
All right, so we like to do an X Factor. We started out with the X Factor of who we think is going to be a star in today's game that's going to make a huge difference. Vahid, we'll start with you.
Jeremiah Love, 2 words. He's getting in the Heisman hype conversation starting today. It was a slow kind of start to the season. Love breaks out, and it's go time.
All right, Talia.
I got wide receiver Jordan Faison. He's been incredible. I mean, last game he had 89 yards, and the game before that over 100, so expect a huge game from him.
All right, Chris, you're on the spot. What do you think? Give him the mic.
I'm going to
Give
give
him
it
the
to
mic.
CJ Carr. He's nailing.
Yeah.
He's landing the passes. He's in sync. I think he's going to pull it off. I think we got another 50-point game.
Wow.
I really do.
Oh, I like it.
All
My
right.
X factor of the game is the offensive line as a whole. I think this game is going to be won or lost in the trenches today. Notre Dame's offensive line gave up just 3 sacks all season. Boise
right.
State's defense is coming in. They've had 11 sacks so far this season.
Heard.
So going to be some pounding and grinding down there in the trenches. All right, our final predictions, our
I'm
score.
going to go last.
Oh, okay. Well, how about we'll start with you there.
All right, 56-21 Notre Dame. It's going to be another 50-point blowout. I got a feeling.
Well, you're welcome on the show any day.
And I got Notre Dame close to you, 55-24. Expect over 6 touchdowns, 3 of them coming from the running back room.
For me, I'm regretting my pick. I'm at 44-17. I feel like that's not high scoring enough for this Notre Dame offense. They probably will get into the 50s again, but safe bet, 44-17, Irish get the W.
I've got a
Go
lot
higher.
of flack for the last couple of picks. My phone has been blowing up. People have been, just, hey, we don't trust you anymore. I've picked against Notre Dame twice in the last 10 years, and I probably won't ever do it again. 50-14, the final score. Notre Dame wins the rest of them this season.
Okay.
Playoffs.
I hear
Playoffs.
I like
Here we
that.
come.
That's okay with me.
All right, Chris, you think the Irish can win out this season and make their way to the playoffs again?
Yeah, absolutely. It's still early, and they're clicking. So we look forward to being here when they host another home playoff game.
Let's go. He's a natural here. I think we get him away from behind the scenes. Get him on the scenes with us. Great job today, Chris.
Chris, thank
Our
you
goat.
so much for all you do. The first
Thank
ever
you.
GOAT Award right here on ABC57 Kickoff. Without all of these guys, turn the camera over to all of
Yeah,
them.
show everybody.
Without them, it's not possible.
Yes.
Well, thank you all so much for watching ABC 57 Kickoff live from Notre Dame's campus. We'll be back here again next week. Go Irish!